Can things get more serious for Blake Lively? New footage featured in a damning Reddit post is going viral and raising serious eyebrows. And no, this isn't just another red carpet mishap. This is evidence that could completely dismantle her victim narrative.
Support her narrative that he was this evil, brutal, bully, sexual harasser, and poor little meek, powerless Blake just had to deal with his aggressive advances. That's just so obvious.
If you clicked on this video, you're probably already following the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni saga and are well aware of their ongoing legal battle. Lawsuits have been filed, accusations have been thrown, and the public war is raging. But now, let's get to the truly damaging part, the newest evidence that's completely shifting the narrative. Blake Lively made this a very public legal fight the moment she decided to publish that damning article about Justin Baldoni in the New York Times. Since then, every secret text message from both sides has been exposed for the world to see.
Kind of passed. It was over. But like a lot of thin-skinned Hollywood types, she couldn't stand the fact that it was still lingering in any way.
But it's what the world hasn't seen that might deliver the final blow to Blake Lively. What happened behind the scenes when she thought no one was watching. Unfortunately for her, someone was. We're talking about leaked footage that reveals a very different dynamic between Lively and Justin Baldoni than the one she's portraying in court.
This intimacy coordinator says, quote, "From reading their text messages, I do sense that at one point there was genuine affection between them and what felt like a friendship. In my experience, when an actor says, I don't need to meet the intimacy coordinator until we're shooting, as much as it hinders my process, it does typically indicate that they trust their scene."
May 17, 2023, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni on the set of It Ends With Us. Notice the body language, a full embrace, smiles, and what appears to be an easy, comfortable conversation. This isn't just a formal greeting, it's a hug, a display of affection, or at the very least, a clear lack of animosity. Now, contrast that with the reported 30 demands allegedly made by Blake Lively's team during the filming of It Ends With Us, demands that, according to reports, focused heavily on establishing strict intimacy boundaries on set. She certainly doesn't seem like a damsel in distress trapped in an uncomfortable work environment.
Actually, your husband Ryan Reynolds wrote part of that rooftop scene.
No,
is that
he
true?
did. Yeah, that's, I mean, I would have to compare it to the original one, but that's 90-something, 99% his. Yeah, he.
May 17, 2023, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni on the set of It Ends With Us. Notice the body language, a full embrace, smiles, and what appears to be an easy, comfortable conversation. This isn't just a formal greeting. It's a hug, a display of affection, or at the very least, a clear lack of animosity. Now, contrast that with the reported 30 demands allegedly made by Blake Lively's team during the filming of It Ends With Us, demands that, according to reports, focused heavily on establishing strict intimacy boundaries on set. She certainly doesn't seem like a damsel in distress trapped in an uncomfortable work environment.
Details about meetings like the one they had with Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and apparently, though the name is blacked out, there's an assumption, well-founded, that it's Taylor Swift, her BFF, at the Reynolds penthouse in Manhattan, where Ryan Reynolds allegedly bullied Justin so badly that a Sony representative who was there, the production team behind the movie, and her biggest takeaway was, "I am very sorry that I let him get away with doing that to Justin."
It's that same infamous scene that Justin later claimed he was bullied into accepting changes to by none other than Blake's two fiercest allies, who we now know to be Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift.
Video that's been leaked that is on Reddit showed that Blake Lively was laughing and having a good time, and no one could really see that there's anything off here.
But more importantly, it's also one of the scenes where Blake allegedly claimed that Justin made her feel uncomfortable. Now, can we get a drum roll, please? Because here's even more never-before-seen behind-the-scenes footage of that very rooftop scene. And you tell me, does Blake look threatened or
a film about domestic violence? It's a film that covers a lot of things, from first love to being an entrepreneur and opening your first shop and having all your dreams come true, to falling in love, to finding a new best friend, to domestic violence. violence, but you don't hear all of those things in one place.
This leaked video circulating on Reddit shows Blake Lively laughing and enjoying herself. There's no visible sign of discomfort, nothing that suggests anything was off.
About a woman, because she's not defined by anything any man did.
The evidence against Blake just seems to be stacking up. These videos might leave anyone speechless, but wait until you see this next one. Blake Lively's own words, captured in a Reddit post, and it's a self-inflicted wound she may never recover from.
She's a serial fraudster. That's called fraud. When you pretend you want to do the one thing and you'll do the thing they're hiring you for, but all along you have secret plans to do something very, very different that's above your pay.
This isn't a film about domestic violence. It's a film that covers a lot of things. From first love, to being an entrepreneur and opening your first shop, to having all your dreams come true, to falling in love, to finding a new best friend, and yes, to domestic violence. You don't hear all of those things in one place.
On another occasion, Mr. Baldoni and Ms. Lively were filming a slow dance scene for a montage in which no sound was recorded. Mr. Baldoni chose to let the camera roll and have them perform the scene, but did not act in character as Ryle. Instead, he spoke to Ms. Lively out of character as himself. At one point, he leaned forward and slowly dragged his lips from her.
You heard that right. That's Blake Lively herself, clearly stating that It Ends With Us is not a film about domestic violence. Blake Lively, the star and executive producer, is making it clear that the movie isn't centered on the issue many believed it was portraying. Let's break this down. For months leading up to the film's release, the marketing, the interviews, and even Blake Lively's own social media all pointed to a story about a woman escaping an abusive relationship. Fans connected with the book's portrayal of domestic violence, and they expected the movie to reflect that. But then, Blake doesn't just say it's not just about domestic violence. She says it's not about domestic violence at all. And then she adds this: she isn't defined by anything a man did to her.
Ryan, go to the bar. Ryan, go to the bar.
So we have a clear contradiction. Blake Lively seemingly downplays or outright denies the domestic violence theme of a movie that was widely understood to be about that very issue. This contradiction, captured in her own words, is now fueling the firestorm online. It's not just a bad PR move, it's a betrayal of the fans and potentially a devastating blow to her credibility in this ongoing legal battle. However, these new clips aren't the first damning evidence to surface against Blake. Previously, similar and equally damaging footage has emerged, working to dismantle many of Blake's claims. For instance, during one particular slow dance scene, Blake claimed that Justin broke character and made her feel incredibly uncomfortable by rubbing against her neck and smelling her.
When you go after someone, you try to destroy their life, and actually the evidence shows something different. Blake Lively was no victim here. She was in control, she was in power, and she took over this film.
However, little did Blake know that there was an unedited version of the scene, clearly showing her to be the one in control. It was Blake who directed Justin and told him what to do. And then there's this next little golden nugget, once again caught behind the scenes, probably when Blake thought no one was watching. In this clip, we see Blake once again directing Justin, telling him how to pull her in with more fervor and passion, and how to kiss her. The clip may be short, but her body language says it all. One thing all these clips have in common is this: Blake Lively does not look like a victim.
We bumped into someone who was weak enough and not famous enough.
And that's not a good look for her public image, which brings us to the next point. The evidence in the Reddit post, the hug, the contradictions, and now the public is reacting. Unlike the carefully controlled world of Hollywood PR, the internet doesn't hold back. These aren't just isolated comments. They're a wave of disillusionment, a chorus of outrage. Fans who once admired Blake Lively are now questioning everything: her motives, her character, her entire public persona. Some try to defend her, claiming she's being unfairly targeted, that it's all a misunderstanding. But the overwhelming sentiment online is one of betrayal. People feel misled and manipulated, and they're making their voices heard. This is a movie about me, and about how cool I look in these horrendous and super expensive clothes. Because my character can afford $600K in clothes just like me. From a story of survival to a showcase of self-importance, Blake Lively the architect of her own destruction, brought down not by her enemies, but by her own words and actions. A career implosion, live and in color. The risk is evident. The risk of losing it all. This backlash isn't just about a movie anymore. And while Blake Lively's own words and actions are now fueling her downfall, the question remains, what will it take for her to truly recover? The damage, both professional and personal, may be long-lasting. Was this a calculated series of manipulations, a pattern of behavior finally brought to light? Or is there something deeper at play? Those questions may never be fully answered, but one thing is clear. The tide has turned. The carefully crafted image is shattered, and as Blake Lively faces the consequences, perhaps Justin Baldoni can finally begin to reclaim his narrative, his career, and his reputation. Let me know in the comments. What your take on Blake Lively after the Reddit post and the hug video? Is she a liar? Do you think this is the beginning of her downfall?